I have a question.
Oh, I didn't even see you guys there. What's up, gods?
What's up?
You got a question, huh?
I have a question for sure. You say that as God, we know everything that we need to know. You say we know that already.
Yes.
We shouldn't have to ask other people what we should do because we know.
Well, you can ask other people about a situation and what they think, but you should not rely solely on what people say, because you don't tell them everything. We don't tell people everything. We tell people what we want them to know. We don't tell people everything. So, how many times have you dealt with someone and they said something just to say something later and you say, well, how come you didn't say that in the first time? If you would have said that, I would have given you a different opinion, or I would have given you a different response. Now that you're saying the rest of it, I have to adjust my response. Why?
Okay, so if we don't do that, if we don't leave shit out when we're asking people for advice, if we are really believing you that we know everything,
Right?
how do we find it? Where is it?
It's inside of you. Think about this. Every question everyone asks, they already have the answer. You already have the answer. You're just not used to taking your own advice. You're not used to taking your own answer because where it comes from. That's why we're not used to taking our own advice, because we know where we get it from. We get it from an unimaginable place. You don't get your advice from hearing somebody else. You get your advice from hearing yourself. And then we have to check our answer against the world. And most of the time, your answer is outside the world because you're being programmed. They don't want you to have your own answer. That's why we always are searching for someone else to give us an answer. What makes them the authority? Why do we feel that it's so much easier to take an answer from someone else that doesn't even ask the question? The person that's asking the question got more information than anyone else.
I think people feel like they're on a team if more than one person thinks the same thing.
Yeah, they're on a team to where they can pass the buck. It's not solely on them. It's not solely their responsibility when it's their life and their question.
So you're saying if we ask people for advice and then we do what people tell us to do, if it goes bad, we can come talk to them and blame them.
You don't even have to go and talk to them to blame them. You're gonna blame them anyway.
So we don't take the responsibility.
There you go. We don't take the responsibility because it's like, well, I asked Quantae and he said. And then if you ask that person, well, what do you think before you ask Quantae? What was your thoughts?
Why are people so? Why don't people want to say what they think?
Because it goes against it. Whatever they're thinking is going against the norm.
But don't people end up doing what they want anyways? They ask and then they take what they want.
They take a little bit what they want and they do what they want. But you know why it fails most of the time? Because they take part of what they want and part of what you said and try and mix that together. And they didn't tell you the full story. You would have given them a completely different response if you knew more. So they take the little bit from you and they go off and they try it and it don't work. They come back and they're mad at you. Why? Why? Because you didn't tell everything. All right, let me ask, which one of you humans tell the truth? I mean, tell everything so you can get everything? Or do we tell partial so we can get partial? We only tell what we want because we need something.
We lead with our questions.
Yeah, we lead with our questions.
Or we lead with what we say. We lead with what we say is the true story. And we lead people to what we want them to say in response to what we share.
In agreement with what you share. So you tell enough so that person can agree with you. That's
and
why.
then, and then you can do what it is you want to do anyways, because there's two of you now that agree.
And they don't know everything. You didn't tell them. You told them enough for them to agree to what you're saying. Why do we do that?
So if we're not going to do that, then we have to have a different plan when we say, oh shit, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. As soon as you say that, there should be something else that you say or do or think or imagine so that you can find what to do.
Before you say, I don't know what to do, we are going into something. Before something gets to the point where it's out of your control. It was in your control at one point. You did know what to do. You were doing what you wanted to do. We will always do what we want to do initially. You will do what you want to do. And a lot of times, what you want to do is not good for you, or it's not conducive for the moment, but we still want to do it. So what do? We tell people just enough to get them to agree. That's what everyone do. That's a human nature. You want people to agree with what you are saying and thinking and doing. So you tell them enough, just enough, so they can do this. Oh, okay. And then you're over here like,
You're over here lying.
well, not necessarily lying.
Kind of.
Not necessarily lying. You're not telling everything.
Is omission the same as lying though? Because it's not a whole truth.
Well, let me tell you something about omission. When the people find out about the other part, does it cause mayhem? Does it cause problems? Does it cause confusion? Do you have the answer to why you didn't say this? Yes. So at the moment, maybe it's not a lie because you're telling, the story, but not the whole story. When it catches up to you, you know what people say? Well, I told you this and I told you that. Yeah, I know that, but you didn't tell me this and this.
Okay, so you say you always give us something to do and to practice. So, give me something to do.
For what?
When I say to myself or begin to say, oh shit, I don't know what to do, or someone asks me a question and my first response is, well, I don't know.
Stop. You know what you should do? You should listen to a question very slow. And you should answer the question even slower. 2, repeat back what someone is saying. So you're very, very clear on what they're saying. These little things will give you confidence. These little things will give you a little bit of encouragement.
This gives you a little time.
There you go. This buys you a little time to get your shit together. It buys you a little time. And a lot of times, all you need is a little time to think. Because a lot of times, we're caught off guard. And the reason why we can't really express ourselves is because we need a little time to think about it. But in the moment, you think that you have to react. You think that you have to respond. You can respond with, you know what? I got to think about that. You don't always have to come up with an answer or have the answer. You can say, you know what? Let me think about that. And really take the time to think about it. That's what I would do. I would answer and listen so much slower. So much slower. Respond way slower, people. Take your time. Take your time. There's no rush. There's no rush in any of this. There's no rush to death. Because that's what we're doing. We'll be rushing ourselves to death. Slow down. Relax. Enjoy the conversation. Enjoy the moment. Take your time.
Is it a compliment if someone asks you, what should I do? What should you do? What do you know? What do you think?
I think it is. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. Why would you ask somebody what do they know? What do they think? Why would you do that? Because you respect that person. Because you respect the way they think. You respect their answers. You respect that person. So yeah, I think it's very flattering.
You shouldn't be nervous if someone asks you something. You should be grateful.
You should be pretty happy, man, because, how often do people care enough to ask us anything? People are normally, like I said before, people are normally telling you what they want you to know and what they want you to repeat. So I think that's very flattering that somebody wants to know what I'm thinking about something or what would I do.
I thank you, and it must be flattering to have all these questions asked of you all the time.
No, it's not, because a lot of people would judge the question. A lot of people are like really, really skeptical, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I want to show you guys something. You see this? Here, let me stand up. Let me stand up. Check this out. Dun da da da. What is that? I'm not telling you. No, not yet. But it's something we're gonna talk about. I always like having something for us to share. I always like having something for us to talk about. Any more questions, my fellow gods?
Not from this God.
Not from this guy. So, you are a God. And to wrap things up, remember, there's no rush in this life. If someone's asking you something, if someone's requiring something of you, take your time. Go slow. Listen slow, but answer twice as slow.